Today, the center of the multi-billion-dollar movie industry is Hollywood. But America's film business was started some 3,000 miles away by a group of nobodies.
Follow me.
All trying to become the king of Hollywood. Future moguls like the Warner Brothers.
Warner Pictures. What do you say?
Carl Laemmle.
That's what we do. We make universal entertainment for everyone.
William Fox.
I only give my audience the best. That's why they keep coming back.
Mary Pickford.
We should create our own studio.
Louis B. Mayer.
MGM has a nice ring to it.
And Adolf Zucker.
So who is now the president of Paramount?
To us.
Over the course of 3 decades, they built empires.
Fox Theaters, Fox Film Exchanges, now the Fox Film Corporation.
We're gonna make 52 features a year.
And battled each other for supremacy.
You stole my producer.
If they come here, it's because they don't like it over at Warner's.
He's trying to destroy you.
This is it?
In the process, they created a kingdom of their own.
There doesn't seem to be much around.
Welcome to Hollywood.
But as their power grew, the business became harder to control.
These stars get paid too much. They think they could do anything.
And the Titans stopped at nothing in their quest to dominate Hollywood.
I'm gonna need another $2 million.
What will it take to seal the deal?
10 million.
Is it true you're selling MGM to Paramount?
If we're not careful, they're gonna blow us out of the water.
Through it all, these Titans created something amazing.
She's terrific. The camera loves her.
A dream factory,
That was the best picture I've ever seen.
an art form,
We should turn it into a feature.
Who's going to write it?
I will.
and America would never be the same.
Get him out of here before I kill him. Drive, drive, drive!
And the winner is...
Yeah, we've waited for our time to come, calculated everything we've done, we've upgraded. Now you can't outrun a champion. Now you're facing what? We're gonna stand on top with our hands in the sky. Gonna raise our cup to the stadium lights for the glory. For the glory. We celebrate with the city tonight. Hear the hometown cheer, it's the ultimate high. For the glory. We do it for the glory.
Imagine a world where your wildest dreams come true. It doesn't matter who you are or where you come from. You could become as rich as kings and queens. You could be adored, even worshipped. Welcome to Hollywood. I helped create this world and nobody even knows my name. It's Zucker. Adolf Zucker. I created Hollywood, the stars, and one of the first major studios, Paramount. So, how did it all start? With a war. That's how it started.
She is beautiful. She is everything to you. She is the meaning of your existence. You beg her for forgiveness. You're not sure of him. You push him away. But at the same time, you feel this magnetic force pulling you closer. You need love. You need him. You love him.
Meet the Trust. In 1909, only they are allowed to make movies. Anyone else is committing a crime.
You are in violation of the Motion Picture Patents Company Act.
Hold on a minute.
Meet Carl Laemmle. Now, you've probably never heard of him, but you know the company who'll go on to create Universal. But back then, he was an outlaw.
Engaging in an illegal production of a moving picture using unlicensed camera and unlicensed film stock.
So, how did a guy like Laemmle get caught up in the middle of an all-out street war over the future of motion pictures? Well, it all started about 4 years earlier, before most people had even seen a movie.
Last night as I lay sleeping, a wonderful dream.
Back then, Laemmle was the manager of a clothing store in the Midwest, and he was good at it. A born salesman, full of new ideas. But before he could implement those ideas, he had to run them past his boss.
Don't bite the hand that's feeding you.
It's a mail order catalog.
Looks like it costs a lot.
Well, it opens up a new market for people out of town. Profits are up 50%.
Is that so?
But my salaries remain the same.
If I give you a raise when it's good, I can't take it back when it's bad. I mean, that wouldn't be right, would it?
So put me on a commission. Get a bonus this year and incentive for next year.
Try to see things my way. The American way. It was me.
Laemmle had heard this story his whole life. It was the "I'm the boss, you're the employee" speech.
Another. Now, when you came to me looking for a job, you were a nobody from Nowheresburg, but I thought, well, maybe there's something behind those little German eyes, and maybe, given time, you might be able to manage the store, even make it profitable.
Now, one thing you need to know about Laemmle is he had a problem with authority.
But you don't become the owner of 6 stores by not taking risks. But now it seems you're questioning that decision to employ you. Nothing to say? That's because there is nothing to say.
Laemmle was trying hard to stay calm, but he couldn't help himself. And that was it. Laemmle was out of a job. Now, here's the thing you need to remember. At the turn of the century, American cities east of Mississippi were overflowing with immigrants, struggling to find a job, to find a place in their adopted country. As an immigrant himself, Laemmle was no different. Now, Laemmle trudged the streets for work, and finding nothing, he couldn't help thinking that his life was a total failure. He'd been bouncing around from job to job since arriving in America at the age of 17. Now, he was just another immigrant for whom the American dream was nothing but a dream. And then, something happened. it lasted only minutes. It may seem basic now, but then it was like nothing else. Pictures that moved and came to life. It was like magic. Laemmle thought it was like seeing his imagination on the screen. Most of the audience were immigrants, but it didn't matter. There was no language. Moving pictures could be enjoyed by anyone from anywhere. It was then that Laemmle knew what he wanted to do. All right, now let me clear some things up here with a little history lesson. By 1905, moving pictures had actually been around for about 15 years, but nobody really knew what to do with them. They'd show them at carnivals and little individual viewing screens at arcades, but no one thought of them as much more than a magic trick, cheap novelty for the lower classes. But two things started happening around the turn of the century. One, the pictures themselves were starting to get better, telling real stories. And two, some genius decided to put a screen up in an empty store and charge admission, creating the first movie theater. And it was in one of these storefront theaters that Laemmle realized his calling. Laemmle sunk his savings into converting an old store into a moving picture theater. But he wanted his to be different. Most storefront theaters were seedy, hole-in-the-wall operations that catered to mostly men. But Laemmle made his theater clean, safe, and wholesome. Perfect for an untapped market. Families. Most kids had never seen past the end of their street. They'd never seen a forest or an ocean. For them, it was an entry into a forbidden and magical world. Just as he'd hoped, Laemmle's theater became popular with families, and once that happened, the cash poured in. On an average day, Laemmle was clearing nearly $200. Soon, he was having to turn people away. Laemmle had made moving pictures accessible to everyone. He'd opened up the market, pulled it out of the shadows. And it didn't take long for others to follow. Theaters began popping up everywhere. Nickelodeons, they called them, because they charged a nickel at the door. And they became so popular, theater owners couldn't build them fast enough. What was a craze became a mania, which led to a massive demand for films. Now, films were made by only a few companies like Pathé, Vitagraph, Biograph, and Edison. And they were too expensive for the average theater owner to buy.
I'm still not sure what to get. I hear The Kelly Gang is the best picture around.
So theater owners would go to an exchange where you could rent one out, and then after showing it for a week or so, you could bring it back and exchange it for another. Problem now was there weren't enough films to go around.
No Kelly Gang, no Troubadour. They didn't even have the automobile thieves.
If Laemmle didn't show a new film, his customers would go elsewhere. So he decided to buy one. Now, it cost him a small fortune, but what could he do? He needed his customers to keep coming back.
This is The Pearl Fisher from Pathé. It's the best film out at the moment.
Laemmle spent around $500 buying this film, and people saw it once or maybe twice, but then they wanted to see something else. So now he was left with a film that nobody wanted to see. So what did he do?
Here you are. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
He rented it out to other theater owners. And then he bought another film.
Yes, very good.
Showed it for a week, then rented it out. And he made so much money doing this that he thought, why don't I open up an exchange?
That's $25. Thank you.
So,
hello.
He opened an exchange in Chicago and bought a stack of films from the companies that made them, then rented them out. Only it wasn't like other exchanges. You went to Laemmle's and you got service with a smile.
How are you?
He always kept a good stock.
I have changed.
And he knew his business.
Oh, I have that film you were looking for. A moment. Now, I've watched this 3 times. It makes me laugh every time. Your audience will love it.
He did so well, he opened another branch. In 2 years, he had exchanges in 8 other cities and headquarters in New York. He became known as the film rental king. Laemmle was riding the crest of a wave. He was his own boss, and the cash kept coming in. He made it. He was finally living the American dream. But he was about to get a rude awakening.
The Miller's Daughter. Good choice, sir. That'll be $25. Thank you.
Now, this is the way I heard it. One day, a guy walks into Laemmle's exchange and asks for The Miller's Daughter, made by Edison Films. Then he pays the money for a day's rental and leaves. And he brings it back to his boss. The owner of Edison Films.
Leave it on the side.
Thomas Alva Edison. Yeah, that's right. The guy who invented the light bulb. But he wasn't this cuddly, addled inventor you thought he was. No. He was a ruthless son of a bitch. When he wasn't inventing things, he was fighting people who said they'd invented them first. First it was who invented the light bulb. Then it was electrical currents. Then it was moving pictures. Don't get me wrong, I mean, Edison did invent a moving picture camera and an early projector. It just so happened that a few other people invented them at the same time. They had companies in America, France, and Britain. Edison assumed they copied his ideas, so he sued them. It was a court case that went on for years. But while Edison had been spending a fortune in court fighting over patents, he saw that theaters and exchanges were making a killing using his invention. And Edison realized he was fighting the wrong enemy. So Edison arranged a meeting with the heads of the main film companies to talk peace and to discuss an idea of his.
Thank you for coming. I know some of you have traveled far to be here today. We have Charles Bethet from France, Albert Smith from England, representing Vitagraph. Out of Chicago, George Spohr, representing S&A. Jeremiah Kennedy, representing Biograph from New York. We have fought long and hard with each other. Battles that have cost us dearly. And for what? The only winners have been the lawyers. I say we end this war and focus on the real enemy, the exchange owners. The ones who buy our films and then rent them to the thousands of theaters that are spread across America, showing them to millions of people. Millions of people who pay to see our films. Yet we see none of that money. We created this business. Yet, it's these pirates that are profiting from our invention.
So it was agreed they would cease fighting amongst each other and reclaim control of their business by forming a cartel. The name of the cartel became known as the Motion Picture Patents Company, but many simply call it the Trust. It was also agreed that Kennedy, who ran the Biograph company, would be the best person to help Edison. The Trust had new rules for the moving picture business. Every theater must pay a license fee to use their projectors and pay a royalty to show their moving pictures. And if they didn't have that kind of money, they were forced out of the business. It was like a mob racket. Edison was saying, we created this, now we're gonna control it. In 1 year, the Trust closed down half of the theaters, and they declared war on the exchanges.
This is 300. Sorry, we're closed. What's this? Motion Picture Patents Company. Notice the cease and desist. You're in violation.
They wanted control. They wanted a monopoly. Laemmle was going to have to pay the Trust a license fee for operating his exchanges and another fee every time he sold a film. That, or he had to sell his exchanges to them.
So, how can I help you?
I don't see why I should have to pay a license fee. My company buys hundreds of films from you, more than any other exchange. I've expanded the film business.
You finished?
Yes.
Okay. I want you to listen carefully because I'm only going to say this once. We make the cameras. We make the projectors. We make the moving pictures. We are the moving picture business. But you're just a little salesman, a middleman that we don't need.
Laemmle was crushed. I mean, here's a guy who had broken free from the rat race. I mean, he'd become his own boss, and he was at the forefront of a burgeoning new industry. And now the trust was taking over everything. Laemmle refused to pay their license fees, so they cut off his supply of films. With no films, Laemmle had no business. So, what did he do? Well, something that was absolutely unthinkable at the time.
Is this everything?
After getting his hands on a camera and some film stock,
Follow me.
Laemmle started making his own films without the trust's consent.
We're losing light right now. We have 3 more scenes to get to today. I have no more than 10 minutes on this, okay?
Roll camera. Action.
While Laemmle was making his films in secret, he was advertising them in the open, in newspapers. And he called his production company Independent Moving Pictures, IMP, or IMP, as he liked to call it. He even had a logo of an imp, a little devil with a fork that he wanted to stick up Edison's ass. Laemmle had created an underworld where moving pictures were made in secret. The trust had a name for Laemmle: the Outlaw.
Where does he get the film stock from?
Black market.
Piracy is a cancer. You have to cut it out before it spreads.
You push him away, but at the same time, you feel this magnetic force pulling you closer. He touches your cheek. You feel it tingling down your spine. You need love. You need him. You love him.
You are in violation of the Motion Picture Patents Company Act.
Whoa, hold on.
Engaging in an illegal production of a moving picture using unlicensed camera and unlicensed film stock.
What do you think we should do?
I don't know.
Maybe we should quit.
We're not quitting.
Laemmle's next step was to hide from the trust. He found secret locations, places that the trust would never find. And was always on the move.
Okay, now we can begin.
Even under threat of violence by Edison's goons, Laemmle continued making and distributing his films and branded himself a revolutionary in the process, fighting back against the Trust's abusive monopoly. It wasn't long before the outlaw became an underground hero.
Are you Carl Lemley?
Who's asking?
I'm Harry Warner. These are my brothers, Sam and Jack.
Yep, that's right. The Warner Brothers.
We've just come up from Youngstown, Ohio. We saw your advertisement in the paper for your independent moving pictures.
There was Harry, the eldest, the serious one. Jack, the cocky one. And there was Sam Warner, the creative one. Family was everything to the Warners. Stay together was their father's motto when he brought the family over from Poland. His sons had an entrepreneurial streak from the word go. At first it was fixing bicycles, a big craze at the turn of the century. Then Sam had the idea to get into another craze, moving pictures.
We had a couple theaters and an exchange, and then we were shut down by the Trust.
I'm sorry to hear that. How can I help you?
Well,
We want to make moving pictures.
Now, Lemley had never considered bringing more people on, but something about the idea intrigued him.
Have a seat. You can make pictures, and I'll help. You could use our location, or you could find somewhere else. Sound okay?
Lemley figured if folks like the Warners could make their own pictures, then he could sell them under the Imp name and grow his business exponentially.
Roll camera.
Action.
It wasn't just the Warners.
Bow.
Others that had been shut down by the Trust joined Lemley's rebellion and began making movies in secret. And that's when Lemley started to think even bigger.
We should sell ourselves under one company, which needs a name. A name that theaters can trust. A name that stands for quality. The best pictures around. So, any ideas?
The Outlaws?
Well, it's something less criminal. We're selling ourselves to the public.
the Independence,
The Alliance?
Brotherhood, or
Trail?
the Fraternity,
Enterprise?
the Enterprise.
Universal. That's what we do. We make universal entertainment for everyone.
Yeah, I know. It's hard to believe, but that's how he got the name. Universal. You see, Lemley was starting to think his business was doing well enough. He could do away with all this outlaw stuff and go legit. He could compete with the Trust on their level. Sure, he was still breaking the rules, but at least now he could have a more respectable name.
Operator, hello. I know.
Lemley was doing a nice little business selling his films to small theaters that would pack around 50 people at a dime a go. But then he heard of some guy with 2 big theaters in Brooklyn who was charging $2 a ticket, packing in 500 every night. To sell to a big theater like that would be like selling to 200 small ones. Lemley had to find out who this theater owner was.
So when did you build this theater?
About a year ago.
Meet William Fox. smartest out of us all, and the strangest. A penniless immigrant who became the family breadwinner at 11 and was the foreman of a clothing factory at the age of 13. By the time he was 21, he was his own boss running a fur business. Now, that kind of early success can make a man believe two things: that he's capable of anything, and that he's better than anyone else. Now, Fox's high opinion of himself only increased when he met his wife, Eve, a woman who claimed to have psychic powers. The two of them agreed that he was destined for greatness. And then, moving pictures came along. And the Foxes saw their future. He built a big theater in Brooklyn that stood out from everywhere else. It was the sort of theater where people with money went. I mean, if you went to a Fox theater, then you were doing okay.
So how do you get away with charging $2? That's a high price.
I have the best theater, the best seats. I show only the best films.
So would you play a Universal film?
The audience doesn't care if it's a Edison, Biograph, Pathé, or Universal movie. All they care about is what's on screen. I only give my audience the best. That's why they keep coming back.
So if Universal made films as good as this one, you'd buy them?
Correct.
Up until now, Laemmle had been so preoccupied with simply getting his films made and avoiding the trust goons that he hadn't actually considered that his pictures could be better. No longer were audiences content to watch silly little scenes. Now they demanded better stories. And there was something else that was bringing them into the theaters.
Who is she?
She's the audience favorite. They call her the Biograph Girl.
See, here's the thing. For the first time, audiences weren't just coming to see the films. They were coming to see the actors in the films. Now, this was such a new concept that no one even bothered to list the actors' names in the credits. So audiences came up with nicknames, like the Biograph Girl. So that was that. All Laemmle had to do was get that actress. Laemmle did a little research and found out the name of the Biograph Girl was Florence Lawrence. Then he tracked her down and invited her to lunch.
How much do you earn, Florence?
Same as every actor, $25.
Would you come work for me if I offered you double that?
$50?
$50.
It's tempting. I don't know. I mean, you could get closed down by the trust. What'll I do then?
Oh, the trust is a dinosaur destined to die out.
I don't know much about business, Mr. Laemmle. Anyhow, I'd feel guilty. Biograph gave me a break.
I'll say one thing about Laemmle. He was an ideas man. Get stuck, think of another idea.
You know, audiences love your pictures.
Thanks.
They do. But Biograph gets all the credit. And you are just
The Biograph Girl. I know. I get tons of fan letters a week addressed to the Biograph Girl.
You come work for us, and I'll put your name on the screen in big letters, before the title of the picture.
So people will know my name?
People will know your name.
I mean, it's crazy, isn't it? I mean, all he was trying to do was poach the top actor from a trust company. But by offering Florence Lawrence a screen credit, Laemmle was about to change the motion picture business forever.
Does this work? Is a placement in the sale work?
It's fine, it's fine. Roll camera. Action.
Laemmle was now walking a tightrope that was covered in flames. First, he was defying the trust. And now he had just poached their top actress.
Oh, she's terrific. The camera loves her.
Now, Laemmle needed to publicize that Florence Lawrence would be in the next Universal film. The only problem was the public didn't know the name Florence Lawrence. They only knew her as the Biograph Girl. And it would be a little confusing if Laemmle went around saying the Biograph Girl is in a Universal picture. And that's when Laemmle had another one of his ideas. And it would be the craziest one yet.
That's what I said. I heard she's been kidnapped. Can you believe it? I know.
Laemmle called every major newspaper and said that the Biograph Girl had been missing for days, feared kidnapped.
And her name is Florence Lawrence.
You should see these.
Thanks.
It worked. The papers bought it and named the Biograph Girl as Florence Lawrence. Now everyone would know that name. And then things got a little bit out of hand, and some of the papers started printing their own version of events.
No. You've got it all wrong. Florence Lawrence has been kidnapped. She's not dead.
Well, how do you know that?
So now Laemmle had to prove that Florence Lawrence was alive. So he placed an ad in the papers saying that Florence Lawrence was alive and well and working on Laemmle's next picture, The Broken Oath, and that she would be appearing in person at a special screening at the Grand Opera House in St. Louis. Why St. Louis? Because he thought the trust wouldn't bother him there. But this time it wasn't the trust they needed to worry about.
Do you think there'll be many people there?
Just a few bystanders.
There wasn't just a few people there. There was a massive crowd waiting to see her. Laemmle hadn't just drummed up publicity. He created an unruly mob. People were clamoring for just a glimpse of an actress. Nobody had ever seen anything like that before.
How are you feeling?
Better? Just a little shaken.
Good. We're going to do it again.
What?
We're doing it again. In New York. Operator, put me through to the New York Journal.
I can't. It's too dangerous. I nearly got
There'll
killed.
be security this time. You'll be perfectly safe. Hello. And you know what? It's going to be like an opening night for a Broadway show. I'm going to give you money for clothes. I want you to look like a princess. What do they do when the British royal family visits?
They have a red carpet.
Right. We're going to have red carpet.
Once again, Laemmle couldn't help himself. He decided to do this special event in New York, right under the noses of the Trust. And that's how the first movie premiere happened. Laemmle wasn't thinking about how he created the first star or the first premiere. It was just a way of doing better than the Trust. And it worked. The Broken Oath became a bona fide hit. Some say it was seen by more people in the first week than any other film prior. And Florence Lawrence became a household name. Soon, she and Laemmle were putting out film after film.
You give actors a screen credit, that may stop them leaving.
Actors are cattle.
Audiences have their favorites.
How many children do you have?
4.
Which is your favorite? Some things are better left unsaid. If a child finds out that they are the favorite, they want more than the others. The same with actors. The problem is outlaws, not actors.
Now, more than ever, Thomas Edison's Trust was determined to stop Carl Laemmle from making motion pictures. With Edison making it virtually impossible for Laemmle to make movies, the outlaws would have to escape America.
We're going to Cuba.
And find new ways of making pictures.
When can I expect them?
The first is on its way to you.
Leading to new ideas.
So you want to make pictures?
Features. Films that have complete stories with developed characters.
New faces.
Mr. Laemmle,
Yes?
Mary Pickford.
And new places.
There doesn't seem to be much around.
Welcome to Hollywood.
And their battle with the Trust would reach a boiling point.
So if I made features without a license,
Make them here, then I'll break you.